Hello everyone and welcome back to the Sports Today Dugout. So yesterday we were discussing Pakistan, was it? I wasn't there.
Yeah, we are basically building up to the T20 World Cup, which is no disrespect to West Indies or Sri Lanka. For them, the tournament begins tomorrow. But the main tournament after the qualifiers are done will begin from 22nd. We are basically discussing and dissecting the SWOTs, strengths, weakness, opportunities and threats of all of the opponents that are in India's group.
Correct.
Yesterday we did Pakistan. Today it is the turn of another men in green, and that is the Proteas.
The South Africans.
Much ever we say about the Proteas, their story is a mixture of tragedy, horror, nightmares.
And tragicomedy.
Yeah, tragicomedies. If you look at ICC events in South Africa, 92 rain, 99 misinterpretation.
How you cannot forget, if since we're talking about the context of a T20 World Cup, 2007.
One loss out.
And that one loss came when they needed to actually lose but still get to a minimum number of runs. They didn't get to those runs.
Yeah, and
South Africa things.
2021, one loss to Australia.
And that's
in that group of death. That's it.
That was it.
Their campaign was done and dusted. They had to win by a particular margin against England. That didn't happen.
There we go. That's a classic.
So that is classic South Africa in so many ways.
Right.
And 2022, we are seeing, can they break that jinx?
I mean, if you go by what happened in their last two series before the World Cup, it would actually have shattered a lot of their confidence.
Of course.
It's like no matter what you want to say, India are a strong team, India are good at bilaterals, this, that, whatever. You do not want to be losing your last two series before the World Cup. It just sucks your momentum.
Yep.
And you could still understand if they, like India, were playing a second string team in the ODIs, but no, they played their full string team because they needed those ODI Super League points. They only got one win.
And out for 99 in the final ODI.
That was terrible.
Which was anyway not slated to take place, but it did happen after 3 days of intense rain. Credit to the groundsman. But look, South Africa are in a very, very tough predicament at this point in time. Why? ODI World Cup qualification not guaranteed, because even if they don't qualify automatically, they'll have to play the qualifiers in Zimbabwe.
Well, I would feel bad for any team that actually has to be facing South Africa in the qualifiers, because again, even the worst of full-time nations are levels above an associate nation for the most part.
Absolutely.
And South Africa, we know for a fact, as we're going to be analysing, have a lot of quality.
They do have. See, after Australia, the next most number of players who play the IPL is from South Africa.
Correct.
And so that is why their woes are very, very confounding. Why? Why is it that South Africa managed to choke up in the most spectacular fashion? Remember, the word choke. The word choke comes from South Africa's tendency to crumble in any kind of awkward positions.
Yeah. They'll find ways to actually do it.
2003, how could you misinterpret the DLS par score as your winning score? So the match got tied. And that's why, unfortunately, this is South Africa in a nutshell for you. They head into this T20 World Cup having only played, let me remind you all, 4 series.
2 of which, by the way, were against India. So
half of their matches came against India, and so for the 9th time in 2022, you're going to see India and South Africa square off. Talk about overkill. That's definitely one of it. 5 matches in June, 2-2 draw with 1 washout in Bangalore. Here, India won the series for the first time.
2-1. 3 matches there.
Yeah, 2-1, losing the only match at their fortress of Indore. And then now they will face India in Perth on October 30th at the new stadium in Burswood.
And we always say that it's confounding because again, a lot of us, in fact, a lot of our commenters would remember that people on this channel besides us, the likes of Vikrant and Rahul, were all saying that South Africa would pose a massive threat. And to be fair, if you look at the kind of squad that they have, you'd be hard pressed to disagree.
Yes.
If you go with that 15.
Yep. Look at it. Okay. I will not take the first name. I'll come back to that later.
Come back to Temba later on.
Temba Bavuma later. Quinton de Kock. Struggling for form.
Correct.
But at the end of the day, he is your class act.
You know what it is that he can do.
Yes. And on top of that, Quinton de Kock has a good record in Australia.
Correct.
So you'd want de Kock to fire. Now, Heinrich Klaassen, I'm not going to
Again, he's not really guaranteed starter
Guaranteed
at this point, but Reza Hendricks.
the guy who did well in that series against England, where he scored at a strike rate of over 200,
And don't forget how well he
did
did
not
even
get
here.
a game.
Yeah, exactly.
Did not get a game against. And the best part is, we are having any sound issues, Shivam? I think there is some kind of a sound issue. Can we just check that out? If
It's okay.
there?
No problemo.
Must be a network issue now. So, okay, not audible, not audible. So,
Little bit.
Marco Jansen, remember, he's in the side today because South Africa suffered a big body blow.
Remember, Dwayne Pretorius got injured.
And it's a massive blow for them because the problem is he's a good death bowler. And in Chennai Super Kings, we saw what he could do.
In fact, I would say that even CSK, when he got injured, did miss him a lot in the latter stages of the tournament.
Yep, indeed. So that is South Africa's squad. But I said I will not mention one name. I'm mentioning it now. This is
Temba.
the curious case of Temba Bavuma. In the series against India, absolutely struggled with both timing, form, and fluency.
Yeah,
he didn't have anything.
There was no fluency because you could see the way he was batting. There was no feet movement whatsoever. Looked very tentative against a swinging ball.
Yep. And again, look at the strike rate also. He's had a strike rate of 37. 37 in the 3 T20Is. Not picked in the SA20 also.
And remember, that would have had to hurt him. He's the captain of the white ball side. Didn't get
Your own white ball captain is
not
not
a
been
single
selected.
franchise was interested in him.
He heads into this T20 World Cup with loads of questions. And that is the worst part about it because look, you would want a good captain. You would want him to be in good form, in the right mindset.
Correct.
I think Temba is not there.
Yeah, and that would be a problem because it doesn't matter how good your personnel is. And as we are going to be checking out in a bit, South Africa's personnel is top notch, but there are question marks over their leader, and that will pose a problem for the side. There's no two ways about it because, again, the inspiration for anything, whether it be team strategy, calls that are made in the middle, even sometimes, leading with the bat or the ball, depending on what role it is you have. All of it is dependent on having a strong leader.
Absolutely.
And South Africa, in the case of Temba, you could excuse him getting runs at 120 or as long as he was getting runs. Now he's not even getting runs. So there's a lot of question marks.
Remember, dodgy team selection and also South Africa go in hand in hand. If you do not choke, then wrong team selection will. 2015 World Cup semi-final.
Who can forget?
Who can forget that? Wrong team call. Picking a half-fit player in place of a form bowler.
Correct. And that
because
really
of
cost
reasons
them.
which we just will not divulge
We
at
can't
this point
really
in
go
time.
into.
We can't really go in detail. So that's why it happened, unfortunately. So South Africa resumed their quest of ending their ICC title jinx. 4 series heading into the 2022 World T20, whereas India have played 35 plus games. Wow, that is called really practice games. If you want to look at it, So
let's actually quickly go over what it is now. We know for a fact that a lot of these teams play each other a lot, but if you look at T20 World Cups, India have played South Africa how many times now?
5 times.
Exactly 5 times.
So India and South Africa, their record in the T20 World Cup is overwhelmingly in favor of India.
Correct.
4-1. And South Africa have not won against India in a T20 World Cup for the last 13 years.
Yeah, to be fair, they haven't also played against them since for a long time.
In a World Cup, yes. So see, in 2007, the one which Shane was referring to
that
at the
infamous
start.
match.
Yep. India won by 37 runs, and that was the first time Rohit Sharma batted. He had made his debut against
but
Ireland
it was the first
earlier.
time he was out in the middle.
Yeah, scored
Scored a half
50.
century. Yeah.
And you remember that stunning catch by DK of RP Singh.
DK or was it Robbie?
It was DK.
It was DK. Okay.
Graham Smith drove a wide delivery of RP Singh and DK. What a catch.
DK.
And his burst combined with Harbhajan Singh's
Very
spell.
economical bowling later on in the match.
South Africa needed 126 to eliminate New Zealand.
That's it. They could have lost the match, but if they got to 126, they were through. Nothing.
They not only allowed New Zealand to go through, they themselves got eliminated.
Exactly.
Talk about Southern Hemisphere bonhomie.
I talk about what you call two birds, one stone in the worst way possible.
And this was the only loss South Africa suffered in that whole tournament. That's it.
That's it.
Game
They were
over. 2009
They got their
was
revenge.
the only time which South Africa won 12 runs at Trent Bridge. India, remember, were all but out of the contention for
At
the
that
knockouts
point, yeah.
because they had lost to the West Indies. Then this loss further sealed their fate, and they lost to England by 3 runs at Lord's.
Correct.
2010, India won by 14 runs in St. Lucia. You will remember that game. For all you Suresh Raina fans, you will know it. Why? Because it was Raina's first T20I century. And he became the first player from India, or the first player, in fact, if memory serves me right, to score a century in all 3 formats.
Yeah, I think he would have been the first.
He would have been
at
the
that point.
first.
Yeah.
So that is the thing. So that was by 14 runs. 2012. Oh boy.
What a thriller of a match
That was an absolute thriller because I will say for one major thing, India were out because that was a very strange equation that they had. India suffered only 1 loss, but that loss against Australia was so big that their net run rate took a big hit.
Exactly.
South Africa could not get past Umar Gul with the bat. They lost by 2 wickets in the game against Pakistan. They also lost to Australia earlier. And against India, India needed to restrict South Africa to under 121. But that didn't happen. 13 runs were needed of the last over bowled by El Balaji. 6 wicket. That's it. India went by 1 run. And 2014, Ashes ball of the century to Hashim Amla. Carom ball from round the wicket. Amla clueless, pitched on leg, hit off. And it was Kohli at his peak at that time, scored a 50, and Dhoni, he gave the winning runs that Dhoni should hit it. And that's how India entered the final, defeating South Africa in the semis.
So in that sense, if you're looking at historical head-to-head, and again, it shouldn't really matter that much because again, squads have changed a lot since then, but you always draw confidence from things like this. And given that in India's group, the 2 teams who they would really have to look out for, one is Pakistan, the other South Africa, they'll be very confident with that sort of a record.
Yep, but remember, this is the time where records can also change.
Remember what happened last year, 2021,
Yes.
when India went up against Pakistan, unbeaten in any World Cup, whether it be ODI, T20. Pakistan absolutely just ended
Hammered.
that
Yep.
narrative.
And remember, South Africa, when it comes to ICC events in general,
Can be very, very...
have not won against India since 2011. Lost in 2012, lost in 2013, lost in 2014, lost in 2015, lost in 2019, and see, it's been 11 long years. So South Africa
Pain for South Africa.
they will really be wanting to end that streak. So India head into this contest versus South Africa on the back of a 4-3 head-to-head record in the last 7 T20Is that they have played.
Correct.
And plus with a 4-1 head-to-head record in T20 World Cups against them. So South Africa face a very uphill task.
Yeah, at least momentum-wise, there's not much that you can draw from in these cases. But the good news is that South Africa have had some informed batters and bowlers in their team at least. And let's just quickly check out, let's start with the batsmen, shall we?
Okay. You all remember Reza Hendricks, right? I don't. Because he never got a... Yeah. You all remember Reza Hendricks? I have forgotten him. Because he never got a chance against India.
Correct. Yet.
323 runs. And at strike rate, if you have to look at it, it's over 150. That was the major bone of contention as to why you were not playing Reza Hendricks.
Yeah, you can understand not having him be a, guaranteed start or whatever. But the number of runs he's gotten here, the rate at which he gets him, he needed to be playing some matches. Simple as that.
Simple. And you have Killer Miller.
David Miller has been a man in form, and the best part about him is not just that he's been more consistent, is that he's overcome arguably his biggest Achilles heel.
That was spin. Absolutely. You saw in the game against Guwahati how he tackled the spinners.
Correct.
It was his onslaught on Ravichandran Ashwin that changed the entire game and kept South Africa
And
in the
mind
hunt.
you, Ashwin was brought in precisely for the left-handers.
Yes.
Miller said, no, never mind, I'll tonk you.
And there is one more aspect of David Miller that we are seeing now. He's taking the game deep and he's then accelerating.
Correct.
I think that is the lesson that he got from his time with the Gujarat Titans. Take the game deep, stay in there. and
Give yourself a chance, and
Yep.
then when the pressure is on, turn it back up onto the bowling team, because the bowling team is far likely to make mistakes in that
Yes,
sort of a circumstance.
Reza Hendricks was the key reason why South Africa won that T20 series against England. Remember, it's New England who've got players like Butler, Livingston.
Chris Wokes is the number 8.
Number 8, Bairstow. Now there is no Bairstow in the England team, but you still have very, very destructive
You still have
players.
Hales at the top, you have Butler, you have Livingston.
And yet South Africa defeated that England
Correct.
team in England. Thanks to the start that they got at the top. And if you have Temba Bavuma there, the problem is where will you fit in Reza Hendricks? Reza and Quinton, that will be
Would be a very, very potent opening
with
lineup.
Markram at number 3.
With Markram coming in, then you'll have the likes of
Miller, Stubbs. What a potent batting lineup that could be.
Very, very.
South Africa's team combination issues.
Their composition issues are a problem, especially considering they have an out-of-form captain.
Yes, that is the major problem. Riley Russo scored 100 in that game against India in Indore, and he unveiled his strokes. I mean, I remember one stroke that he played. It was like kind of a hockey drag flick. Late Yorker wide outside off, sliced it, but it was like a drag flick.
Correct.
And it went to the third man boundary. That is the way Riley Russo is unfurling his new game. Quinton, yes, 205 runs, but his average
his recent form has been really bad.
really, really bad. And that
He
will
looked
be a
very
big
ordinary
worry.
against India at times. There
Yes.
were times when he was.
Normally, Quinton de Kock always has had a good record in India. But in the last couple of matches, and in particular this year, it's been a big struggle for him.
And he, of course, does have a good record in Australia to fall back upon.
Yep. Heinrich Klaassen. Okay, now he is your sheet anchor kind of a role. Because remember, there is no Rassie van der Dussen.
Correct.
South Africa suffered a big blow when Rassie van der Dussen had a injured thumb, fractured thumb in fact. So that's ruled him out for the whole tournament. So the anchor role, we are all forgetting the role that Klaassen might play in the middle overs. So Klaassen, 202 runs, strike rate, give and take is...
But again, the runs count is what matters more for him, because they don't really look to him as someone who will, get big runs quickly.
Now, if Reza Hendricks plays, then the bulk of South Africa's scoring rests on Reza, David, Riley,
And mind you, right here, you're not seeing another name. You're not seeing Aiden Markram here.
Yes. Markram unfortunately has undergone plenty of troubles with the bat. Yes, he did have starts, but he's failed.
But of course, we note for the fact that he was a very classy operator.
Yep. And disclaimer, all these stats, all these runs are for players who have played more than 7 or 8 T20Is
Correct.
in the whole year. So all these guys have played about 8 T20Is at least.
They've been a consistent part of the side, not just a case of played 1-2 games.
Yep, so that is the way how it is. Average of Quinton and Heinrich Klaassen, you can say, and strike rate of Klaassen to a certain extent
It's problematic.
but Reza, David, Riley, watch out for them.
This trio is very, very key.
The power hitters.
Don't forget, they have someone like Tristan Stubbs waiting on the bench.
Yep.
Can be a game changer if he comes in.
Power hitters at the top, power hitters at the end. They just have to get it together.
Yeah, the key is how do they fit in all these players and in what positions.
Yep.
Bowlers, by the way.
Traditionally, South Africa's major strength, and looking at the way how it is in Australia, bowlers are going to be their ultimate icon. Because
Correct.
what has been the major reason for South Africa being unbeaten in Australia across formats, if you have to say since 2014, it's been the bowling. Led by this particular individual who's
actually not here
on the
top
list
five
because the criteria that we took was 6 or more wickets.
Actually, this is the top 5. If you look at it this way, by the way, this list, would not even have Eindhoven Nokia here. We discounted Wayne Pretorius because he won't be playing in the tournament.
Yes.
Otherwise, Pretorius comes higher. He has more than the 6 wickets that Nokia have taken.
Yes.
So it's just a lot. We always talk about South
Rabada.
Africa. Oh, they have Rabada and Nokia. Both of them have been struggling through 2022.
Yes, Rabada in particular has really struggled.
15 matches, 5 wickets.
5 wickets. We just wanted to ensure that Rabada is not on the list primarily because he's not taken many wickets, just 5 wickets.
We're looking at who's taken wickets here, and unfortunately, Rabada's wicket taking has been a problem.
Massive problem. And primarily South Africa's success, if you look at it in 2018, when they won that ODI series there, it was thanks to Kagiso Rabada. Even in test matches, it's Kagiso Rabada.
Rabada is their best bowler. He is to South Africa what someone like a Boomerang is to us.
Yes.
He's that bowler for them.
Yep. Lungi Ngidi has stepped up to the plate,
But it's still not a guaranteed starter.
not a guaranteed starter because
And by the way, one common factor with all of these bowlers, look at those economy rates.
very, very problematic.
I mean, Wayne Parnell is at 8.18, but he's also not someone who's bowling you 4 overs every game.
Yep.
He's not.
He's not.
He would be a 5th or 6th bowling option in a lot of instances. So yeah, some games he might bowl out his full quarter, but every game.
Yep.
Despite that 8.18, Shamsi, who by the way is not a guaranteed starter at this point because in Australia they might not want 2 full-time spinners. Remember, Maharaj is a decent bat, but he's primarily a bowler. He's not an all-rounder. So you would probably be starting with Keshav Maharaj because his economy is better and he's gotten more wickets. Shamsi has gotten 12 wickets, but at 9.37. He's gotten
the
ODI recently.
in the ODIs that followed,
Yeah.
he was just way undercooked.
Shreyas Iyer.
Shreyas Iyer and Sanju Samson. I mean, look at how Sanju Samson took to. He knew he could calculate. Yes, if I had needed 24 of Shamsi's over, I could just hit 4 sixes.
Correct.
That was the confidence
With
that
which they were taking on Tabraiz
Shamsi
Shamsi.
inspired from, but unfortunately,
Yeah, actually, Shamsi, if you look at it, even in the earlier T20I series this year, didn't really do much against India. You talk
Yes.
about, Shamsi at that point, number 1 T20 bowler, bang average in India.
because previously Shamsi had taken a 5-wicket haul against Sri Lanka.
Correct.
But what happened after that? He just lost either rhythm or form, and that is the main reason why you see Keshav Maharaj's economy rate of 8.1 in 2022. By the way, this is all in
all 2022
2022.
stats,
8.1.
8.1 and with 13 wickets. And mind you, he's not exactly an extraordinary bowler in the sense that he has a ton of variations. No, consistently he'll keep hitting the right areas.
Yes.
That's Keshav Maharaj.
Look at Ngidi. Ngidi took a 5-wicket haul that ensured that South Africa won that game against England.
Correct.
5 for 39. But again, 5 for 39.
39.
39.
That means if he bowled out all 4, he was still going at an economy of nearly 10.
10. That's the problem. That's the problem you have with Ngidi. This is where the theory, we often say,
How has Ngidi not start? But well, look at the economy.
but again, would you take a player who has 4 overs, 23 runs, no wickets? Or would you take a bowler who
Always
has
take
4
a
overs,
wicket taker.
43 runs, 2 wickets, 3
Always
wickets?
take a wicket taker. But again, if you're talking about that, then Lungi should feel a little hard done by because look at Nokia's stats. 6 wickets in 2022, economy of 9.5.
That is the thing that you'll get with Northier. Northier and Rabada, they have express pace, but it could backfire also. And remember, this time, what is your bowling composition going to be? I think Ngidi can fit in because with Pretorius' exit, you don't have a death bowler anymore.
Correct.
You either have to rely on Jansen,
Whose death bowling can be hit or miss.
you have to rely on Rabada, but you'll need Rabada primarily in the power play also. You'll either rely on Ngidi or you'll rely on Northier.
Or you can bring in Ngidi and say, okay, you bowl out some overs early on, and
Yes.
maybe you'll share the death load.
Yep. My ideal bowling combination, if it has to be for South Africa, if they have to create an impact, would be Rabada, Northier, Jansen, Ngidi, and Keshav Maharaj.
And don't forget, they will have Wayne Parnell as a 6th bowling option.
6th bowling option.
Because he will be coming in at that number 7 position to bat and will actually give them a little bit of...
Exactly. So, you will, if you want part-timer, you've got Aiden Markram.
Yeah, Markram will be a second spinner in that regard, I
Yes.
think.
I don't see Shamsi playing at all.
No,
but
Shamsi will not. He will not. They will
will
only go with one full-time spinner. So Markram will be that 6th bowling option.
Yep.
If they need 1-2 overs of spin just to kind of,
Yes. So, I'm just saying, what is the strength? No, I'll just point out the batting strength. The batting strength for South Africa is Miller, Russo, and if Reza Hendricks
If reason
play,
they can fit him in somewhere.
yes, then their batting goes up a notch. Your strength is actually a lower middle order in the South African team. The major weakness and the threat I see in the batting is Quinton de Kock's form. If that doesn't improve, it throws the entire composition
Because
away.
it means they'll go in with their both openers being out of form. Temba's already out of form.
Yes.
And Quinton, that actually puts more pressure on Quinton because
Yes.
Quinton is expected to be the one who's actually going to be going after everything.
See,
but
although let me just say, Quinton did show some form in the two T20s in Guwahati, but then in Guwahati he struggled at the very beginning. His run rate, his strike rate was not that good.
Correct.
But in Indore he did show some form.
and to be fair, Indore is not a track with a lot of demons on it.
Yeah.
Again, so in that sense, Australia, he might feel a little confident because if you've watched the England-Australia series, and mind you, they've not really been playing a lot of cricket, not necessarily in the venues. Yeah, they played in Optus Stadium, but the last match was played in Canberra. So they're not using this venue, but look at the wickets. So nice to bat on. True wickets, you're getting good bounce, it's easy to play your strokes.
Yep.
Quinton might just be a threat here.
Yes. And if you look at the opportunities in the bowling, you have a chance to fit in 6 bowlers. That's the opportunity with Ngidi.
If you want to fit in Ngidi.
Ngidi, yes. But because with Pretorius gone,
your dead bowling
suddenly looked a bit woeful. So you will have Rabada. Remember, Rabada and Nauthier are great death over bowlers also, but with excess pace, that can get knocked down in Australia.
In a place where you're going to be getting true bounce.
Yes.
It's a problem.
It's a big problem. So that is the threat that is there for both South Africa and the batting and the bowling.
And don't forget, Ngiri's prime, one of his other factors, aside from the fact that, he can hit the deck, is that he'll mix up his pace.
Yes.
So, a slow ball bowler might actually be very useful in Australia, where you'll have slightly longer boundaries. You have that chance of, getting a batsman to play and getting caught out in the boundary.
And
that
the major threat in this entire bowling attack is Rabada's form.
Again, it says a lot that 2022, he's nowhere in the top 5 wicket takers. And again, neither would Nokia be there if we counted Pretorius.
That's the worst part of it. And Pretorius's injury is unfortunately...
It's done a lot of damage to the South African...
Yes. Because he may look okay, his pace may not be that great, but he's accurate.
Another thing, it's a very decent lower order bat.
Yes. Pretorius.
Very, very decent lower order bat.
Ask CSK, they do appreciate Pretorius in a lot of ways.
Yes.
So that is the batting and the bowling of South Africa if they can get their team composition right. And if Rabada can do really well. I think you have a South Africa team who can very well erase all.
That's the thing. We say this about that, this player is not firing, this player looks suspect, but they don't have poor players.
Yes.
They're players that are actually of a very good quality.
I will just quote Rohit Sharma's cases. We have all the talent, but we also need luck. South Africa need that luck.
They need that little bit of luck. But the one good thing is the World Cup is being played in Australia, right? They do have a pretty decent record in Australia.
Of course. But the stats hide this thing also. 2012 till 2022, just 4 T20s.
That's it.
South Africa have only played 4 T20s, with an even record of 2-2. Okay? Not lost an ODI or a test series though, since 2014 in Australia. In fact, South Africa in the last decade have been the only team that has an even record in Australia when it comes to all formats. Tests, ODIs, T20s combined, South Africa have a great record, even better than India in the last 2 games.
If you look at Australia.
Yes. Not played T20I down under in the last 4 years.
That is the most shocking thing. Like when we were compiling this, we're like, how is it that they haven't played a T20I in Australia since 2018? How is that possible? That was eons ago. 2018 is a generation, what feels like a lifetime back.
Yes.
And they haven't played a T20I there since.
That's the problem. And look, because look at the fact. In 2018, after the Sandpaper Gate scandal happened, Australia was supposed to go to South Africa in 2021, but that got cancelled.
Yeah.
Because of COVID. So-called reason was COVID. But when South Africa's cases were low, Australia could go to India and play the IPL. When the second wave was absolutely destroying India.
Yeah, at that point, the second wave had already come up. So
priorities, that is the only thing that I will say. So South Africa will embark on a T20I match there. They will play there after 4 years.
4 years.
And remember, they are also playing 2 warm-up games.
I think every country pretty much is playing 2, right?
Yeah. Pakistan are playing 2 against England and Afghanistan. I think South Africa are playing 1 against New Zealand. I don't know what is the other discussion about. The other match, I think it's against Bangladesh, if I'm not mistaken. So I'll have to check up on that. So that is South Africa in a nutshell, because perennial underachievers in T20Is or any ICC events, forever blessed with talent, forever blessed with lot of potential, but always stumbling at the last hurdle.
Whether it be through their own incompetence or just sheer bad luck.
I would just say sheer bad luck.
No, not always. Sometimes it's
8 out of 10 times.
I mean, again, 2007, you didn't need to target a win. Just get to the 126.
126.
They
But again, what would you say about 99? That's semi-final.
Drop the World Cup.
No, that was the Super 6.
Oh, that was Super 6. Right?
The 9, you lost with a net run rate of 0.01.
That's bad luck.
That's bad luck. 2003, how could you misinterpret the Duckworth-Lewis system? That's bad luck.
That's bad luck. But that's incompetence. You misinterpreted it. But that's incompetence.
A lot of people struggle with the DLS method.
The DLS method, to be fair, is, I mean, yeah.
You can't just blame South Africa alone.
No.
If they only have to get inspiration from, they can look no further than their counterparts in the Springboks. 3 times they have reached the final, they have won all 3 times.
Right, so
And 2019, they won the Springboks. The Springboks won for the 3rd time, tying with the All Blacks. And so they are the greatest rugby team at this point in time. But can the cricket team
emulate that? Basically, to sum up, their strengths as far as batting go, again, it's the middle to lower middle order.
Yes.
Opening looks a bit of a weakness, but if things turn around, you don't know.
The opportunity is Reza Hendricks.
Reza Hendricks and even Quinny, for that matter.
The threat is lack of form of Quinton. And one bad day, all fail to fire.
And the big threat also is what do they do about their 2 strike bowlers?
Yes.
Because again, you note for a fact, Nokia quality operator, Rabada, one of the best bowlers in the world, not been in great form.
Yes.
They need that threat to actually become a positive from a negative one, become a positive one. So I think we've discussed everything. Let's take a few comments.
Yeah, Rohan Negi, lucky you that let's just go up here, Shivam, 1 minute. There was somebody up there. Go up. Rohan Negi, there was somebody.
Achha.
Yeah, this we will take first.
We'll take that pelu upar, ja?
Yeah. Okay. See, I read a comment by Rohan Negi that he met the South African team that they were put up in Brisbane. So good on you, Rohan. Well, I hope that South Africans did have a good thing out with you. They must have clicked some.
Vijay, thanks for joining us in the discussion. We're really happy to have you there.
Yeah, cricket analysis is out of box question. Does India team have a bowling plan for Rizwan? Look.
Yeah, the bowling plan for Rizwan, at least for me, if you ask me, is frustrating a little bit early. If his strike rate reaches the point where it's in double digits, he panics and will often throw his wicket away. That should be the plan. But to be fair, I don't think if you look at India's bowling, their upfront bowling hasn't been the problem. So I don't think Rizwan will be that much of an issue if they bowl like that.
Rizwan, if India has a plan for Rizwan, I think the current Indian cricket team doesn't have a plan only for Rizwan. They have a plan for the entire Pakistan team. And secondly, if Rizwan has to fancy his chances, make him play the 19th and 20th over. His strike rate will automatically improve then.
Exactly.
Yeah. Davis cricket. Weather looks bad for Sunday game. Maybe a washout. Any update? Yes, the weather has been a massive issue. And everybody's saying that it's the La Nina effect. El Nino, there's the La Nina effect. And because of that, all the warm-up games that happened on the 13th got washed off.
Remember, I mean, even England and Australia were playing that.
The Canberra match.
You had a lot of rain coming. They had 3 separate rain interruptions, and the match start was delayed by rain. So
So
there's a lot of problems.
The weather from now till even the 23rd, they're saying even the weather in Melbourne is not looking good on the 23rd. And if it's a washout, then it's bad news. So Davis cricket, yes, that is the problem.
Jeet Singh has an interesting prediction. He says that KL Rahul will get 150 against Pak on the 23rd of October. Man, if that happens, see, I won't promise you to do anything because I already have suffered through that, but I'll be very happy if that happens.
Yes, absolutely.
Cricket analysis by RV has another point, says that Markram should be made white ball captain. He was under 19 captain too. What do you think? Valid point. I think he would be their best.
Okay, trivia question. When did South Africa last win a major ICC event?
When?
2014. ICC Under 19 World Cup.
Oh yeah, there was.
Who was the captain? Aiden Markram. Yes, but then again, look, the problem is, would people want Aiden Markram as the captain, considering the constitution of what South Africa's cricket board and South cricket policies are? You know what I'm hinting at?
Yeah, but then the problem is, if you go by that, who are their options? And the point is, I understand why it is they do what they do, but on basic cricketing form and even logic, Temba doesn't really strike me as being a first choice batsman. Never mind a captain. Anyway.
So that is the problem. even Markram, by the way, is not setting the stage on fire. There was a period, I think about 2-3 years, he did have a lull. And he was said, okay, maybe he'll be one of the great what ifs in South Africa.
Markram actually in recent times has reversed his form.
Yes. So give him some time, I guess. Pranav Shukla seems to be agreeing with us.
He says that Temba is their biggest weakness.
Otherwise, they're a serious contender.
In fact, even Sai Srivastava has an interesting point. He says that do you see Temba captaining the whole campaign? If they still stick to their ratio for players, they can get an Andil and Miller. I mean, Andil would be an interesting choice because I don't even see him being a guaranteed starter.
Yeah.
Maybe Rabada.
No, see, Feklukweo is part of the travelling reserves.
So he's not even
in the 15.
Correct.
Now, the problem is, yes, see, like what Dinesh Chandimal did in 2014. His form was not happening. Sri Lanka's fortunes were not, okay, I quit my captaincy, Lasith, you take charge. So Lasith Malinga took charge. Middle of the 2014 T20 World Cup. If Temba feels that perhaps my captaincy and my runs are bogging South Africa down, then yeah, he can give it to either Markram, he can give it to either Miller, he can sit out, like what Dinesh.
Don't forget, they have Keshav Maharaj as captaincy option.
Vice captaincy.
He's their de facto vice captain. So
there's also Rabada.
Rabada, I think they might not want to put that pressure on him.
Yeah, they may not want to, yes.
But as I agreed, I think he's a good option. Or there could be far worse options.
If Pat Cummins, a fast bowling a pacer in this modern era, can do it.
Rajiv Jha has jokes because he's saying that India has so much bench strength that we have 4 fast bowlers in the squad with a T20 economy over 10. Good one,
yeah. But then see, bench strength is...
Just go slow down thoda, just for 2 more minutes, we'll go. Thoda sa, I want to take 1-2 more comments.
Yep.
Pura nahi.
Love. MCG has roof. No, the problem is that roof is at the Docklands and it's no longer operative. The match is taking place at the MCG. Yeah, Amit Yadav, MCG, the roof is not at the main cricket ground. It's at the Docklands and they're not using it anymore. Why am I wearing yellow always? One question was asked. Well, I love yellow. And it's come from the 1992 World Cup, which incidentally happened.
Love Rami has a lot of confidence in Temba. He's saying that I think he'll do something different as a Thappa. Remember, Thappa did say that Temba might be the, and Halloween is around the corner. Get your spooky costumes ready. I think I dress spookily enough.
Well, Halloween, I don't know, when is it?
31st October.
31st October. Oh, the day after India, South Africa. Okay, I'll dress up as a South African cricket team.
No, dress up as if you want to actually have a spooky costume, dress up like a South Africa, just like an ICC trophy. They'll scare the South Africans.
They'll scare South Africa. Absolutely. So Vijay Yadav saying, why am I wearing yellow? I love yellow. Simple.
Faizan Imran, thank you too for joining us. And I think on that note, Meet Soni is asking, can only play one spinner against India? It's a possibility.
Yes.
Because I think they'll most likely be going in with one spinner only, and that'll be Maharaj.
Yeah.
If they need an extra couple of overs, maybe they'll turn to Markram. That's what I think it is anyway.
Yeah.
But I think on that note, shall we?
Yes, let's call it quits. And tomorrow it's happening, the first of the qualifiers, Sri Lanka take on Namibia.
Tomorrow is actually a pretty big day, in terms of there's a lot of good action. And I'm not just talking about cricket. There's, of course, the 2 qualifier matches that are happening. There's Liverpool Man City, which will be happening tomorrow. There's El Clasico, which will be happening tomorrow.
El Clasico.
So stay tuned for all of that. We'll be, of course, bringing you all of the latest news, updates, and, analysis from the world of sports. Thank you all for joining
comment,
us.
and share button. And we are also there on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Tap the bell icon too, so you know when we're going live or uploading a new video. As always, Shane Das, Siddharth Vishwanathan, thank you all for joining us. And
thank you. Bye-bye. Vanakkam.